Welcome back to the grind for another video about Corvus, this time talking about how he excels in Alliance Quest, especially map 7, because there are several paths that he just does such a great job for. Part of why he is so great, at least in my opinion since I got him, is the fights end so much quicker, especially if you have that foresight node where an intercept gives you a 200% fury. You end the fights in like 10 to 15 seconds. It's ridiculous. These fights without that are about 30 seconds to a minute, and usually with a good fight you'll finish it in about 30 seconds or less. So that's just a showcase here. This clip I believe was about 40 seconds, but you get to a special one and you can end it in most cases depending on the nodes. Another amazing thing about Corvus, one of my favorites that requires him to be awakened but only sig 1, is that he cannot die from passive damage as long as he has his glaive charges active. As long as you don't get knocked down, because it puts the glaives on cooldown, and as long as you don't use your last charge by performing another crit attack, then you will not die from passive damage or damage over time. So you can see with this void, we should be dying from his ability to cause high amounts of damage with debuffs on. And even better, if you are going to die, you can pause and let yourself time out. Now, the reason I pause there is because if you get knocked down, as you see in this picture, the glaives go on cooldown, and then I would have died from the damage over time. And here is an example of that. I only had one glaive charge left and I accidentally took a blocked hit, consuming my glaive charges, and then I died from the poison which I have from the suicide masteries. But as long as you pause the game before you die, you can then allow yourself to time out in Alliance Quest, and then you just go back into that fight again and you have all your charges back up. You can parry without dying. If you're good at intercepting, that's great. This node is one-eyed blind or whatever it is, so if you parry and do damage, then it will be reflected back to you as well. Here you can see I took a blocked hit and it consumed 4 of my glaive charges, but as long as you don't run out or get knocked down, you will not die no matter how much health you have. Another awesome piece of utility that Corvus has is his special 2 is unblockable, so you can throw it into a block, but also it power drains. If you push them to 3 bars of power, it will drain the power, and then you don't have to worry about pushing them over 3 bars with that special 2. Now here you can see this is one of my least favorite bosses. You can see I took a hit straight to the face, blocked down, but it did not kill me. It just consumed 4 of my glaive charges. Now that's okay. So we keep going. I throw off a special 1. I really don't like this boss because I have a hard time with his special 1. And so in order to avoid that, you have to push him to special 2, but you don't want to take too many blocked hits and re-parry. So I managed to push up to a special 2, but because of the metal tag, I can't power drain Magneto. So I just pause it after that last hit, allow it to time out, and then I don't die. I can go back into that same fight and have all my 20 glaive charges back, and I'm still alive. I continue the fight with, sure, not much health, but because of the cheat death mechanic, it doesn't really matter. You can parry, you can block, and as long as you don't let your glaive charges run out, and as long as you don't get knocked down, you don't have to worry about dying from any hits or damage over time effects. So you go back, and this can be tedious. It can take a long time if you're waiting for many timeouts throughout the fight, but it can be an effective way to save revives and health potions as long as you're quick about pausing the game before you run out of glaive charges or get knocked down, which sometimes can be challenging. And I just had one of the worst weeks of Alliance Quest in my life because I was trying to use as many glaive charges as I could, and then one mistake would result in me dying. So it would be better to just pause it a little early when you're down to maybe 4 or 5 glaive charges, so you do not have to worry about dying and having to revive again. Now, Mephisto is one of my least favorites on this path, especially with Resistor, and you can see that even if we parry him and do damage, you don't have to worry about the damage back because Corvus cannot die from it. And you don't have to worry about Mephisto's incinerate damage either. And you can just fight normally in here. And as soon as you're getting low on glaive charges, you just pause the fight. And I think I do end up mistiming an evade and get hit by a special 1 right there. We took some blocked hits, did not die from it. But as long as you pause before you die, you can see it even consumed all my glaive charges, but I paused it right away so I could just time out and then restart the fight. And then this is just another example of how quick the fights can be sometimes. This is with the resistor node, so they get a lot of physical resistance. but as long as you're able to get into a rhythm and the AI kind of plays into you and baits out the specials, this was less than a 30-second fight. We build up to the special 1, do one more combo after that, or a couple combos, I guess, throw off the special 1, and then the fight is over pretty quick. So Corvus can be a huge time saver, but if you do have to rely on the timeout mechanic, that obviously takes time as well, but it can save potions. Now, this is just to throw in another example of the unblockable special 2. So we push them, we push up to a special 2, she's blocking, I throw it into the block, and obviously it breaks through the block because it's unblockable. So that can be a great way. I was running out of time with that unstoppable timer, so I just had to throw it. Otherwise, I would have had to dance around even longer. Corvus is a perfect option for the crit me lane because he has access to guaranteed crits, and his special 2s deal special 1 deal tons of damage with their crits. The difficulty comes with the modifier cascading failure, where you build up the debuffs and then up to degeneration. Now, you have a couple ways to play this. You can just pause and back off and let the debuffs fall off, then go in again. You know you're going to get crit, so there's no surprises coming. Or you can just continue to play as normal. You can see at one point we're building up, I think we get 11 of the degenerations, but we're not dying because we have enough of the charges. Now, you do want to make sure that you do not end up using all your charges or getting knocked down, because then you would die, of course. But with this, you can just time out when you need to and then go back in. And the last thing is Corvus can crit through blocks, so you can actually use him on the do you bleed lane, because you can still deal block damage, and with the crits to the blocks, it does allow you to get through that lane fairly easy, but it's definitely not as easy as having a strong bleed champion like Nick Fury, which is who I use. So once again, I do hope this video is helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, or if you have any other suggestions for future content specific to any champions or the game in general. Thanks for watching, good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.